evening. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Coby Owens.
Shané Darby.
And welcome to The Source. First, we want to say Happy New Year to all of you. And listen, I haven't seen you guys since last year.
Yeah.
How you been doing?
It's been good. It's good to be back with everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, it feels good. I'm excited for 2024.
Did you take your Wheaties today? Because you're a little calm. What's going on with you?
Well, we're going to talk. I want to be hyped for her.
Okay, very good. Before we get started with the show today, I just want to take a moment to remind everyone and to pray for one of our stars, especially in the media world here in the African-American community. It was Twin B, who really kind of started the LAPA and this whole media piece where he brought it to the city. And I know you all may know more about it than I do, but he introduced me to television. And many of the shows that I have today is because of his guidance and his leadership. I want you to keep him in prayer. I want every person who knows the worth of prayer to keep him in prayer and let the Lord's will be done. Twin has lived a strong, powerful, and impactful life. And I want to make sure that his work and his labor is not in vain. I want to continue to do the things that he's done. I know all of you certainly co-host a show with him. You know about Twin B's work. But first, do you know the history about how far back he goes?
This station right now, none of us would be on this station without Twin. Yeah. And his idea and thoughts that he pushed so hard to make come true, and getting and securing a TV station so that we had local news by Wilmingtonians for Wilmingtonians. Yeah. And I think that's huge. I think that's why so many people are so invested in the Channel 28. And over the years, it's changed over who is the operator of it. It was LAPA, it's DTV now, but all these shows that you have on right now, Congo Hour, the Power Hour, all these shows would not be here if it wasn't for Twin.
Right, yeah.
It goes even deeper than that because I worked with him closely for about a good year, and I spent a lot of one-on-one time with him, just eating lunch at Ingleside with him and learning a lot about him. He started, before there was even TV, the 3 TVs as we know, the stations, education, government, and what was the other one? Education, government. What's the third component of
Public assets.
Public assets. So the 3 ones, that was all him. Right? Yes. But prior to that, Black folks weren't allowed to get cable. Only white people could get cable. Yeah. He was the one who introduced cable to Black families throughout, I don't know if it's Delaware or if it was just Wilmington, but he introduced cable to the Black community here, right? So it starts before then, and he talks about how he was a disc jockey beforehand. Yeah. And I remember I was on a show, and it was literally every generation there, right? And everyone knew him from 30 years ago, 15, and then it was me who was a little bit fresher and new who knew him, and he was able to impact people from each generation. I thought that was amazing. I had said that on the show. I was just we're 3 different generations talking about the impact that Twin B had on our lives, right? So he's a great person to learn from. And definitely a pillar in the Wilmington, in the Delaware community, and the work that he did. So,
yeah, one of the things that I loved about Twin is that he said, "Let the work I've done speak for me," and he says, "Let the positive outshine the negative." And he carried that message for years and years and years. When I even first started doing my first televised program at 8 o'clock in the morning on Channel 28, which we still have that show. Twin would tell me, he said, "Curry, you keep preaching the positive message." But he says, beyond the preaching piece, make sure you keep living the positive life. So I just really want to take this time and for those of you, his family, friends, and he has so many, let's not forget about the giant that we have in our community. Let's let our prayers go up that God will keep him comfortable, that God will keep him at peace. And when the Lord, and if the Lord, and I'm very big on this, decide that it's time to receive him, we want to celebrate his life, his legacy, and all he has done to contribute to our lives. So thank you for just that moment of being able to take time to give tribute to a giant and a hero. Thanks so very much. We want to move on with our news when we come right back.
Hello, I'm Marcus Henry, and I'm running for Newcastle County Executive. I spent over 20 years working in state and local government, trying to bring the good programs and services you deserve here in Newcastle County. Please support my campaign. please look us up at marcushenrybe.com for further information. I look forward to meeting you all over the next year, and I look forward to your support. Thank you.
And we're back. Well, it has been an interesting week this week. I have not heard of any shootings. I've not heard of any murders. It seems like the city is at calm. People are just calming down from the Christmas break. I hope it's a part of a plan that we will have that for the rest of the year. How are things going as it relates to the violent part of our city?
I haven't heard anything. All I know is that we got a lot of package thieves out here. Right? Okay. They took a package off my porch and I was hot.
I can see somebody clapping now.
Yeah.
See, that's a shame. That's a shame.
But I'm like, yo, they stole, like, I had ordered my mom, like, a book to tell her story. Yeah. I'm like, yo, what y'all gonna do with that? Yeah, like, I'm trying to get something nice to my mom.
Just so they can have something.
They don't even know what it is. They just want it. They see the package and just want it.
Yeah.
But you don't have the ring thing going on?
I have Vivint. So my sister has Ring, and she was showing me like the community of people that you could watch everyone's Ring camera. And the young boys, they putting on a black mask so they know it's a camera, and they're doing it. One boy, my sister showed me on her Ring thing, he just slept on a lady's porch all night.
Huh?
Yes, like
It's one of the, honestly, I love the feature on Ring now.
Okay.
You can share different clips of everything like that, especially when things like that happen. Now I will say, from the videos I've seen, it's a lot of people that don't look like us and don't live in the city of Wilmington who's coming into the city of Wilmington and targeting. They're hitting doors on in because it is easier for you to go down half a block in like 2 minutes and grab all the packages.
Oh, wow.
But it's some crazy things on there, how people try to disguise it. Like one lady had a big, those big bags you take into IKEA, the big blue bags.
Right.
She came up to someone's porch with one of those and just, like she was going shopping. She was like, yup. Well,
and they don't even know what it is. Like sometimes
if they knew what it was, they wouldn't do it. But
I just ordered super glue. Like if they steal that off my porch today, like you want super glue? Like come on.
Well, they don't want super glue. They just want to be able to take whatever belongs to you. So, well, thank God that's the worst that's going on right now. Mom don't get her book, but I know that because you're well financed, you will certainly.
Oh no, I went to Amazon and told them that it never came. Yeah, okay, right. And they resent it.
Okay. Well, don't say too much on the air because I don't want people to get you in trouble. And it didn't never come because you never received it. You never received it. Amen.
Didn't receive it.
Okay. Now, look, this is something very seriously I do want to talk about today. Many of you may not be following what's going on with the Harvard University's president. And I wanted to bring this up because it's important that we pay attention to the tone and the tenor that is going on in our country. They play games with acronyms. They play games with the trajectory of how people are being discriminated against. Claudine Gaye, at this point, was the president of Harvard University. She's a graduate of Harvard University. She served as a tenured faculty member of Harvard University. She worked her way up the ranks of Harvard University. And some persons have the audacity to talk about the fact that a paragraph in her dissertation was not cited appropriately, as well as a couple, I think it was one other article that she didn't give credit to the person who wrote it. 98% of the article was written by her, but she didn't give credit. And you may say, well, that's one of the elite universities because that's what they say in the world. I don't agree with that as well. But for a person to have built their career to the level that she's built her career, and for her to be taken down the way they took her down, because basically, it's a part of that theory and the people who want to do what they do. I just think it's disgraceful. I'm gonna give you all an opportunity to just share your thoughts so that we can just kind of like go through this, because there was 30 presidents before her, and I want to say that I want to give you some facts too. There were 30 presidents before her, and all 30 of them were white men, and none of them were put under scrutiny to the level that she was. But I'll stop there.
So one, I just want to start with this. This all stems from a U.S. House committee hearing in which they had all the Ivy League presidents come and testify in front of Congress. And I just want to tie this into the dysfunction of Congress and the fact that it's a lot of political theater right now. And these hearings, right, they use these hearings to ask all different types of questions, knowing that they can't get answered, but they want those sound bites, right? This led to the resignation of the University of Pennsylvania's president, and now President Gaye at Harvard, because legally they were correct. You cannot just condemn, shut down a group for them just exercising their First Amendment right? These are the same Republicans who sit up there on this panel who, if you say we're going to get rid of your guns, they lose their mind because, we have a Second Amendment right. But when it comes to freedom of speech, freedom of speaking out against oppression, now they have an issue.
Right.
So you fast forward to this past Tuesday, and now President Gaye resigns, right? But she didn't just resign because she wanted to. She was forced out.
I believe that.
She was forced out by racist alum, including a billionaire named Bill Ackman, who is known to being racist, who's been one of the biggest anti-DEI advocates in the entire nation. He's a hedge fund. Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we understand that.
He's a hedge fund manager, billionaire. He's done good for himself, a Harvard alum. He is against that in all different aspects, in the educational realm, in the business realm, anything. He does not believe that there should be any DEI. He has been tweeting out. He's written open letters about how she's not qualified and she only got this job because of her skin color and gender.
How could that be?
Not because of her actual credentials.
It's always the audacity for me when you sit in the room. And honestly, I used to think that a lot of times this projection or idea that people give you is that these old white men or these white men who sit in these rooms are very smart or they have something that you don't. And as I became an adult, I realized a lot of them just mid in the young people's terms. They are mid. But I know that for us to even meet their mid, we always have to do 2-3 times better just to meet their mid. And then we're still questioned when we're 2-3 times better. Right? Yeah. And it's this constant attack on Black women specifically that I see that is always, they want to call us welfare queens, but we get the most degrees in this country, right? Make it make sense. Which one are we? Right? Like you have to make it make sense, but it's this constant attack on Black women, our intellect. And it just makes me just think of a whole bunch of things. As you know, I'm a Black woman who's raising Black girls in my household. I have a Black girl in high school. And I remember her teacher at Cab Calloway told her, or her counselor told her C's were okay. All right? Okay. Yeah. I emailed her so quick, I'm raising a Black girl. She has to work 2 times, 3 times harder than she does than the white girl sitting in her class to get into the dance institution that she wants to get into because she's Black and female. And her mama don't got no money, okay? So she needs to get a full-time scholarship, right? So C's are not okay in my household. That is not the standard here. And my daughter has to do better than the mid-white girl sitting in her classroom. That is the reality, unfortunately, of where we live because of historical systemic racism and sexism that now puts Black women, we're always at the bottom of the totem pole. Like we can get the same degrees as a man, as a white person, and as a white woman, and we still get paid less.
Yeah, but what I think people fail to realize, especially in the African-American community, because I heard a lot of Black people speaking out too, saying she should resign, how dare she make a mistake in her dissertation. If you go through a lot of these folks who walk around who have real degrees and doctorate degrees, you're going to find a lot of people misquoted, miscited, and did a lot of things. But one of the things that we fail to realize, African-American people who are watching us today, is that it is our African-American women who are the backbone of our community. Even I look at my own life. When I went to Lincoln University, it was a woman, Dr. Niera Sudarkasa, who was the one who pushed me, who made sure I went on and moved beyond just a bachelor's degree at Lincoln University. You look at Martin Luther King. He was giving that famous speech that we hear about, I Have a Dream. Before he got to the part of I Have a Dream, it was Mahalia Jackson who kept saying, tell him about the dream, Martin. Tell them about the dream. We have to make sure we give respect and honor. And when you start talking about smarts, you can't find smarter people than African-American women. Because they know what they're doing. And look, those who may not have gone to the university, they still make things happen for their families. So I just don't understand it. But I'm a little hurt today. And I guess that's probably why I brought it up. Because they really took her down. And I think one of you was saying earlier that, well, sometimes the circles that we hang in will bite us if we're not defending ourselves appropriately throughout the whole process. So maybe, she aligned herself with the wrong people. But when you talked about that racist brother, I kind of agree with that. But he made some, I'm just shocked. The faculty stuck with her. That board is what got rid of her. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So I'm kind of going to leave it there because I don't want to make it more than it needs to be right now. But I just hope those of you who are paying attention to the Harvard University's president situation, please look beyond just seeing that she's now resigned. Please look beyond the fact that they were able to show that she cited in her dissertation a paragraph. That's not even 0.1% of her dissertation, but she cited a paragraph and didn't give appropriate credit. I'm just saddened that we can just buy in what the media push, and it all stems from her quoting the truth. How can we say it's against Harvard's policy to do something that is against maybe their free speech? I just don't understand how we can be that small. But it is what it is, and I'm hoping that you all will begin to try to engage the process a little bit more, because we get ready to have an election in the city, we get ready to have an election in the state, and we're going to have to start making decisions, and we have to stop allowing other people to form our decisions or divide us to be able to make the right decisions that we're going to make. I want to move to one more area before we go to a commercial break. I want to talk about some good news. Delaware State University is staying in the news in a very positive light. I get Tony Allen and his folks down there are just doing a phenomenal job. I am a season holder in the basketball program, and Stan Waterman, they did some projections. Thanks to my brother who helping me with that situation there. But they did some projections, and Stan, first before I even tell you the projections, people had said, look, he's out of his league. He's not going to be able to accomplish what he accomplished at that little private high school. He's not going to be able to do it. Why is it? And then they looked at it. He got a hookup from his boy, who a fellow alum at University of Delaware, and that's how he got there. But let me tell you, the first 2 years, there was a struggle because he had a program that was doing nothing, that had just been totally done out. But this year, already projected that he will have the team of the year. Projected he will be the coach of the year. They have won some major games already that they were not projected to win. And I'm grateful because I love when the critics are now like crickets. Do you know what that means?
I do.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
Okay. So for those who did not believe in Brother Stan Waterman, I think now it's time to change your story. Go ahead and pull out your Delaware State sweatshirt, and let's go ahead and root them on. So congratulations to Brother Stan. Oh, you want to say something for him?
Yeah, so just to break it down a little bit more, right?
Okay.
So when Stan first got there, he got there with a program that was in disarray.
Yeah.
Right? During his first year. Now, Stan had an amazing run at Sanford University, high school. Won numerous championships, lost to Sally's a few times too. I had to throw that in. But his first year there, they were 2-26 overall with a 0-14 record, right? So that's 2 wins, 26 losses, 0 wins in the conference, 14 losses in the conference. His second year, last year, they improved to 6 wins overall, 24 losses, and 4 wins in the conference and 11 losses, right? So why am I bringing that up? Well, if you look at their record already this year, and they haven't, conference play hasn't even started yet, right? Mm-hmm. This is just early season. The games are just starting. They are currently sitting at 3rd in the division based off their just overall record, right? Excellent. They are sitting at 7-9 right now. This is the most wins that the DSU men's basketball team has had in this decade, right? Yeah. So, they are off to a great start. No, it's not a winning record. It's very close, right? Mm-hmm. They're doing great. They're sitting 3rd in, and my projection is they're going to beat Howard this year. They're going to beat Morgan State this year. They're going to beat South Carolina State this year. And they're probably even going to beat Maryland Eastern this year, right? All division rivals, and probably Copeland State as well, too.
Coppin State, you mean?
Coppin,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Misty Copeland coming. Their main competition in the division this year will probably be Norfolk State.
Yeah, it's a powerhouse.
So, it's going to be a very good season. I recommend everyone go support the team. My cousin plays for the team as well, too. He's doing great this year. Yeah. Shout out to Ricky and the whole team, right? Yeah. So they have the pieces they need to win. And you have a very dynamic coach who has been able to transition from that high school coaching to that college level coaching.
But not just a college level, Division I.
Yes.
See, most coaches, they'll leave high school, they'll go to Division III sub, then they'll go to Division III, then they'll prove themselves as they go. He went from the high school to a major Division I in a major league, and I'm very grateful for that. And you were saying how in a decade, it was almost a little bit more than a decade, but I remember the last coach at Delaware State, and I was at Delaware State at that time, was Coach Greg Jackson. Coach Greg Jackson, who was a very good personal friend of mine as well, and fraternity brother as well, he took that team after the second year, and then they won MEAC. They did some phenomenal stuff. Had not happened in years before. So I believe this is staying season. I believe it's a season. Anything you want to add to the party?
No, not for that combo.
Not that combo.
I don't have nothing. I don't know him. I wish him the best.
Yes.
Sounds
Well,
like
we will keep letting you know. I think I'm going to add that as part of the show because I think it's going to be important that we support our hometown. He's right here from the east side. Stan Warner, his whole family is right here on the east side as well. I think that's the east side, right over there, Clifford Brown Walk area is. Okay, so I hope that you all will support and you will come out, and if there are any naysayers, they will now come to become a yay-sayer because he's doing a phenomenal job. And congratulations again, Brother Stan, and your whole coaching staff and what you are doing with the Delaware State University men's basketball program. We'll be right back. And we're back. Well, what's going on with Shané's Scoop this week?
Yes. No, I wanted, as we come into the new year, the community asked about censoring the mayor, right? So we know we had a long, 2 months of discussing residency at the end of 2023 into regards of what that should look like. Was it legal? Was it not legal? The mayor is making compromises with city council. There's different resolutions coming up between Councilmember Mills and Councilmember Letitia Bracey. So we had all of that happen. But at the end of the day, we got legislation passed that maintained what it should have been the whole time, which also added a residency task force and a fund to help people move into the city of Wilmington. But one of the most disheartening things after that win was that, before I say that, is that we had over about 100 plus people who came out over the maybe 3 or 4 meetings who voiced their concerns, voiced where they stood on the situation, and we have never, in my 2-3 years of being on city council, I have never seen that level of participation, at all, since I've been on city council. And to have that level of participation and then for the mayor to then respond to the legislation, calling it mob behavior and being very disrespectful to his way of explaining how the community came out for the legislation, I think it's uncalled for and inappropriate coming from a mayor who's supposed to represent the whole city, right? And then for him to represent a predominantly Black or brown city, and most of the participants who came out were Black and brown, and to make those comments is disheartening. It was just uncalled for, in my opinion. He could have talked about the legislation. He didn't have to talk about the people who came out.
I disagree with you. Okay. I don't think it was disheartening at all. I think he showed his true colors. I'm surprised he decided to use a dog whistle and not just call it what it was, which was he was disappointed that Black people had the nerve to speak out against him. He thinks he's still in slave mentality because that's how he whips around most of the council and keeps them in shape.
Yeah, how do you get mad that someone's exercising their First Amendment right?
When it's against what I want it to be, then I can.
But even when if people are against what I'm saying, I'm not going to be like, oh, they're a mob. And then we have like large groups of white folks who are great doing community work, advocating for their side of town, who come out in large droves on issues.
Mm-hmm. No statement.
No, they're not considered a mob.
So nothing about the Rodney Reservoir.
Nothing
about that.
Gibraltar.
Them shutting down multiple meetings. Gibraltar being shut down. Meetings over that being shut down.
They shut down meetings over there. Okay.
But when it's African Americans, or I'm sure Pazicki says another word behind closed doors.
I hope not.
That starts with the N and ends with an R.
I hope not.
A hard one. It's a mob mentality. How dare those educated black people speak up about why they want to keep the jobs in the city of Wilmington, so that the jobs in the tax revenue stays in the city of Wilmington, so that you live and work next to your neighbors, so that you don't have someone out of the city of Wilmington who loves talking about, how she's the chief of staff of the city, but hasn't lived in the city in so many years, who thinks it's okay to raise our taxes continuously, even though she's not impacted by it, but she makes sure she get her little raise every year. But then the workers really don't get nothing at all. These are the people making decisions, and these are the more people that Pazicki wanted to bring in. Yes, how dare we speak out against this?
Tell me what you're really thinking.
That's what he's thinking.
Tell me
I'm trying to.
Yeah, so first I was asked to censor him. So I went to the law department and they were like, you can't censor him. I can censor a council person, but I can't cross state. This is what the law department said. So they was like, maybe you could do a vote of no confidence. So I said, okay, we can go with vote of no confidence as long as it's on record of what he did. Like, I want it to be on record of his, of what he said. Like, I want it to be on, and I want the community to have an opportunity to come out to address it. A lot of people are asking me, like, some of them came to the next council meeting, but it wasn't like a unified effort to speak about how they felt about the mayor calling them and their behavior a mob-like behavior, right? So those things are and then also another disheartening thing for me is that he then goes on to like berate some of the council peoples for switching sides to how they voted, right?
Oh, wow.
So like now, like you don't control us, and you don't control me, right? But you don't control us, and you can't think you have control of, like it's done. It's a wrap. He can go to Bethany Beach. Okay. So in continuation of that conversation about just residency, local working and things like that, I have been working with unions, even non-union, but specifically construction work entities to talk about what does that look like for city-sponsored jobs, or when an incentive is given or a tax exemption is given by the city, when some type of incentive is given for a project or buildings, commercial or residential, are giving to a company, a contractor or whatnot to develop. What does that look like for the city, right? So a lot of the complaints that I'm hearing is, one, that a lot of times when the work is happening in the city on residential or commercial, they're not from Delaware, right? Okay. Period. Or if they are from Delaware, they're not from the city of Wilmington. Okay. And the city being a predominantly black city, the majority of the workers do not reflect the community that they're working in, right? So I'm getting those complaints, right? So I know in other cities they pass bills called like local hire, right? Where they tell contractors, if you're going to build in the city and then ask for an incentive or ask for some exemption for the project, or we're giving this land to you for a deal, whatnot, if there's some type of connection to the city giving you some type of discount exemption, then there has to be a tie to the community being able to work on that project. So a discount would be like a tax exemption. So we're going to say you don't have to pay
15 years.
You don't have to pay taxes for 15 years. Oh, Jesus. Right? So but they do that and then build high-end apartments.
Before you continue, where has that happened at?
Mainly downtown or Riverfront.
And then on top of getting a 15-year tax abatement, right? Yep. From an LLC that is controlled by Bacini Pollen.
Yeah, BPG.
They also get downtown development funds, which is also taxpayer funded.
Yes,
correct?
That is taxpayer
funded.
funded.
So they get up to a 20% rebate on whatever they build, right? With the initial supposed to be affordable housing. Is Crosby Hill affordable?
No, it's not.
Well, it's affordable for the right community, certain community.
It's affordable for certain, but it's not affordable for an everyday Wilmingtonian.
Okay. Let's make sure you
get new 295 unit building that, they changed all the fines and fees. So if it's only over 100 units, they don't get any additional costs anymore.
Yeah.
The 295 building unit, that's getting a tax abatement and downtown development funds, which are all coming from our pockets, but our taxes keep going up because there's not enough money in the city, right?
Yep. So that's what they're doing. They're giving these big developers and contractors
they don't want to hire people who live here who could get money from this project to pay their taxes.
I hope you are intrigued because, see, this is not comic book. This is reality.
Yes.
This is reality, and what she's bringing, there are people who've tried to, lambaste Shané because she brings things to the front. Listen, this is factual. And what they're doing is they're going back and forth, and I'm listening because you often think that, we got a certain person made the city better because now downtown is beautiful and things of that nature. We have to stop and look at where you live at. Look at your neighborhood and start seeing. But some stuff I'm like, huh? A 15-year tax abatement?
Yes, that's what they're giving these developers.
And you get 20%. If I do a project for $100, I get $20 back.
Yeah.
Wow. That's called recycling. Mm-hmm. Oh wow. Go ahead, finish your report because I'm getting more and more crazy.
So there's complaints about who's doing the jobs and them not being local workers or workers that look like the community, that the development is happening. And then you have an issue with, also there are some contractors who are hiring people off the street, right? So they might hire Pookie down the street to come and put up the drywall, right? Or they might just hire people off the street who doesn't have the skills. And what I think should happen, right, is that there's opportunities through the Department of Labor, through different apprenticeship programs. A contractor can start a training program, right? So there's different options to going about it. It doesn't have to be a union. It could be non-union too, where you can go through a program and get assistance and funding to go. When someone is skilled, it allows them to grow. Right? If they're not skilled and I just put you on a job for drywall, right? And I say, hey, just do this drywall. That doesn't build the resume. That doesn't allow for sustainability in regards to like employment and being in that field. And we want to create sustainability in our communities. We don't want people to be used for one project.
But hold on. But the Pookie, he picked the drywall up. He got it done. He retains the skill that he learned there. Why is it so important to get skilled workers? Why is it so important to have an apprenticeship?
Right, so it's important to have skilled workers, one, because the job is done right the first time, right? So it costs more down the line when you don't have a skilled worker who does the work from the beginning. That's just data, statistics that shows that a skilled worker who does it right the first time, you won't have problems down the line, right? And then the important part is like apprenticeships. Apprenticeships provides a good wage, right? They provide you with the continuous training and skills that you're going to need to really hone in on your craft and your craftsmanship within the construction field. So those things and two things are important. And specifically when we talk about the city of Wilmington, and most people who get into construction work are men, right? And we talk about violence, right? And we talk about the unemployment rate in the city of Wilmington. Black men have one of the highest unemployment rates in the city of Wilmington, right? So how do we address that? We got to give them jobs. If we got to give them jobs, we have to give them training for long-term sustainability. Another thing is that contractors are taking advantage of people who are in immigrant communities, right? Paying people under the table. So now I get paid under the table. COVID comes, where I go? There's no more work.
We saw that.
Right? Yeah. What happens? Like, there's no unemployment for me to tap into. There's no benefits for me to tap into. Like, those things that really build community and sustainability for family. Talk about home ownership. What do you need to become a homeowner? You got to show your bank statements. You got to show pay stubs. How do you create a community to create sustainability when you don't have basic training for them, right? And paying them correctly and not taking advantage of people. So when you start thinking of all of those things and the trickle down impact of that, it's like home ownership, sustainability, keeping families together, like those things, like at the core of the legislation, that's what it's talking about, addressing unemployment. We talk about violence in our community. As Black men, unfortunately, who are doing the shooting back and forth with each other. How do we get them off the streets? They need a job, and they don't want a job working $10 an hour when I can go on the block and I can make what I make $10 an hour in literally seconds, right? Yeah. Give me a job that's going to pay me decent so I can pay my bills and put food on the table and still have some leisure time with my family.
You know, before, and I know it's going to snow when I say this because people think I hate Hanifa Shabazz. I don't hate her. I just don't like her politics and can't stand them. But one of the things I will give her credit, okay, if I can do that.
Oh.
It's going to rain. But when before she became tainted, we had several conversations and she was sharing what you just shared. We need to make sure that the people who work on the church, the people who build it, are skilled from this community. So when I met with Petrocon, who was my builder at the time for the church, I took her words to heart. I said, I don't want you going to Jersey finding people. Mm-hmm. I don't want you as a general contractor I want the people from this community. I want skilled workers so that our people would, and listen, about 85% of the workers who built this church were skilled African American. It wasn't all, well,
it don't have to all be, but
the point
majority.
was they were all from this whole area. So I gave her credit for that because that was, when she wasn't that important and okay, I don't want to go negative. Thank you, Hanifa Shabazz, for helping me in 2009.
I can't. But yeah, so that was the segue for the skilled workers. Yeah. And then we have some other legislation, but I'm pushing it back to March. That's also focused on addressing labor in the city of Wilmington in regards to access to jobs, accountability. Because one of the main components of the skilled worker legislation is creating a labor commission. So this labor commission will be with unions, non-unions, different entities. The Department of Labor has been a part of the conversation, or what it means for us to have a labor commission. So if I feel like someone is violating the skilled workers legislation, I can go and say, yo, my employer, the majority of people working there are from Jersey, right? So they have a place to make the complaint and have an investigation done and then be held accountable. So that is going to create a labor commission. We never had a labor commission in the city of Wilmington before, but I think it's a great step into being able to look at labor issues in the city of Wilmington, which there's so many, right? We have hotel, hospitality workers who are being discriminated against, work schedules, all sorts of things that they're facing with scheduling, pay, and they don't have an entity to go to because the Department of Labor only handles certain types of investigations or complaints. Okay. So when I met with them, I'm like, what does it look like for us to do this? They was like, yeah, we don't handle that. We don't, I was like, where's the data on it? It was like, we don't deal with it. We get the complaints, but we don't track it the same way because we don't handle scheduling conflicts. Or I remember when my kid's dad, he was working at a warehouse, they didn't pay him. No money came in his account. And they told him that he had to keep working for him to get it. So now you want me to keep coming to work and you ain't pay me? On the hopes that I might get paid?
Yeah, and they didn't know you was connected to him, right?
They didn't know, but this was a while ago. Yeah, so that wasn't connected to anything or anybody. So this was a while. I was like, yo, what do you do in this situation? Yeah. Go to the Department of Labor and complain, okay.
Yeah, I want to continue on with that, but because we got to go to a commercial break. But I want to go back because those who are watching, and Jay Street was big on us making sure we close loops for those who are listening to us. You said that there was there's going to be a vote of no confidence in the mayor. What's the date of that?
On January 18th.
January 18th?
Yes.
Is that when the public can come out and speak about it?
Yep, the public can come out and speak. That was my point of even mentioning it. But yes, I got carried away. Back to you. But so yes, come out on the 18th, virtually or in person, to voice your comments and your opinion on what he said.
Now, what do you say to the person who's watching and saying, you know what, I really want to come out because I have a whole lot to say, but I'm not going to go out because he already got his 7 and that 7 ain't going to vote in favor of it, so why should I even waste my time? What is your response to that?
Yeah, so we don't know if he has a 7. We thought he has his 7 to get rid of the residency.
He done lashed him and whipped him before doing what they did the last time, so maybe he got him back.
I don't know if he got him back, and we could see. And I also think this is an election year, so it's time to start holding some elected officials accountable to how they vote and what they're doing.
Who fund you, run you.
Well, who funds you, run you. So let's see.
Because he's going out of office doesn't mean his funds ain't going to keep him.
Yeah, because he's still connected to John Carney. John Carney is his successor, because they were calling around trying to find people to run, and John Carney agreed. So that is his next successor to him. So he will be fully supporting John Carney and, of course, funding when he can.
His next successor, I think you just kind of misspoke. So you're saying Velda can't win?
No, that's his next successor, who he wants.
No, who he wants. But you said successor, which means he's next going to be in that position.
Well, that's who he wants.
Oh, okay. I want to make sure, because I'm from the HBCU and we pay attention to words.
Okay.
And I don't want them. You went to Temple, yeah, I know, and y'all just pay attention to the global, but I don't want nobody to feel, I'm not saying either way. I just want to make sure that you're not endorsing something, and you didn't
endorsing old John Carney.
Well, you said it's next successor.
Look, I wanted to make sure Bethany Beach too.
I just wanted to make sure that we cleared that up, that there will be a public forum as well as a vote on no confidence on the 19th, I think you said?
18th.
On the 18th. And if you want to voice your opinion, please voice your opinion. If you feel like it's going to be a wasted time, it's never a wasted time. That's what those who came and dealt with the first issue decided we just gonna have to handle this. We're gonna have to vote, talk about this, and you did do well and succeed. We're gonna take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. And we're back. Coby, what's going on with Coby Corner?
Yeah, so this Tuesday, the General Assembly is back in session, which means the State House and State Senate will be meeting again. We'll be introducing bills. Some bills have already been pre-filed. So I kind of wanted to highlight some of the bills that either were left over from the end of June 2023, or some of the ones that have been pre-filed that people have been working on over these last 6 months. So the first one I want to talk about is HB 263. I know y'all have heard me talk about another bill that has to do with free breakfast and lunch for students. This bill stems from what happened down in Smyrna. And it was introduced by Representative Sherry Dorsey Walker. And it states that school districts, schools cannot ban students from extracurricular activities because they have a debt when it is associated with their meals, their school meals. In Smyrna, they had a homecoming dance coming up. And there was over $16,000 in school lunch debt. Now, mind you, this was like October. School had just really started, and $16,000 of school debt, lunch debt was already accumulated. They weren't allowing students to go to the homecoming dance. Now, homecoming is supposed to be a fun time for high schoolers, right? Go have
Colleges
fun.
Too.
Exactly, right? Yeah. A little difference, but they weren't allowing these students to go. A independent private business owner helped pay some of the money down, right? And they still didn't allow the kids to go because they didn't pay it off, even though they got their money. I thought you only cared about the money to start with. So this will now prohibit schools from banning students from any extracurricular activity. So whether it's sports, theater, drama, whatever it may be, they cannot be prohibited from participating in those additional programs that the school offers. Then you also have another bill introduced by Sherry Dorsey Walker, which is HB 267, which has to do with family court. And what it does, it prohibits the family court from imposing a sentence of incarceration or ordering the suspension of a person's driver's license for failure to pay court-ordered child support, unless it finds that the failure to pay is willful, is not due to the inability for the person to pay the support. So if the person has the money and they just don't want to pay it, you're still going to get in trouble.
Right.
But if you don't have the money, if you're or out of work or whatsoever, you cannot be held what is it called? Contempt or whatever. You can't be sentenced to jail or have your license stripped from you.
Yeah, I just hope Sherry did that bill too, right?
Yes.
I hope she come back and do another bill before she leaves to become the next higher position she's going into, that says that those fathers, and no disrespect, but those fathers who have a lot of child support because they had a lot of babies and they weren't working and things of that nature, and then now they finally found a job and now they can't work because the whole check is being taken. So they don't want to work. They want to push them back out to the corners. We need to do a forgiveness plan. I'm serious about that. In fact, I'm gonna call Sherry or some of these because I know there are parents, like I know, whether it be the purchase of care and others. As soon as a person gets a job, want to get back on their feet, want to do right, then they get all these other things that comes on them, and then they decide, I'm going to go back and do wrong. You was going to say something.
No, I think it just depends. It's case by case.
Yeah, it's case by case. Okay, go ahead. I don't want to take you off before she get mad at me.
The next bill, which I think is a huge bill, would be a constitutional amendment. Okay. And how it works here in Delaware, to pass a constitutional amendment, it has to pass 2 legs back to back of the General Assembly. So 2 different sessions of the General Assembly. So the unique thing is, if you pass it in this year, 2024, when the new body is sworn in 2025, they can come back and pass it, and they'll have it till 2026 to pass it. We've seen constitutional amendments pass in the past. This one, SB 180, introduced by Senator Coby Owens, has to do with voting rights. So it limits the disenfranchisement of an individual convicted of a felony to the periods during in which the individual is incarcerated only, right? So it takes away, you have to complete probation, right? It says that it removes the requirement for forfeiture of your right to vote because you owe fines and fees, right? You've completed your time, you just owe some back fines and fees, you should get your right to vote back. Also completely removes the list of felonies resulting in permanent disenfranchisement. This also, some of the other things that it changed, it clarifies and updates our Constitution when it comes to voting. So some of the things that are in there that this will change is it updates the age in which someone has the right to vote, right? So in our Constitution it still says you have to be 21 to vote. Oh, wow. Now, the reason why we do not operate off of that is because the U.S. Constitution says 18, and that supersedes it. This is just updating the language to finally be in lock and step with the federal Constitution. It removes the durational residency requirements, right, to qualify to vote in the state. Some of the things say you have to live here for a year, 1 full year, to vote. That's not, again, U.S. Constitution says different. It also says you have to live in a county for at least 3 months after that. So if you live in Delaware already, let's say I lived in Kent and now I moved to Newcastle, I have to live there 3 months before I get the right to vote again in Delaware. This removes this. It was deemed unconstitutional. And I think that was Dunn versus Blumenstein. I think that's the name of it. It also removes the literary test requirements to qualify to vote here in the state of Delaware. And these tests were usually used to disenfranchise Black voters and women here in the state, as well as immigrants who went through the legalization process. That's what it's called. And also the poor. And then last, it makes a technical correction to remove the unnecessary comma that's in one of the lines. It was a double comma. So again, it does a whole lot. It is a constitutional amendment, which means it needs a 2/3 vote, I believe, which means there has to be 2 Republicans in the House that sign on and vote for this. This is what happens almost all the time. I think the last 10 sessions have had a constitutional amendment that has passed. So again, the Crown Act was one, in which it took 2 terms to do it, and you had to get at least 2 additional Republicans to sign on and vote for that. It has been voted out of committee, the Judiciary Committee and the Senate, at the end of last session, which means it can go to the floor anytime this upcoming year for the Senate, and then it would have to go to the House for debate and then for a full vote. And then next on my list of bills that I'm keeping an eye on is HB 125. Again, I just talked about Sherry's bill, which prohibits kids being banned from doing extracurricular activities. This is Representative Ray Moore's bill that would make all breakfast and lunch provided by schools free. Okay. The USDA has come back and changed some regulations, which would open us up as a state to more reimbursement from the federal government, which should lower the fiscal note here in Delaware on how much we would have to pay out. We pay out about $19 million already. They had it projected at it would take it up to $30 million, which is only an $11 million increase. I say it's only $11 million. I don't have that, but the state has it. The state has almost $1 billion surplus right now, and I, for one, would prefer my taxpayer dollars and my money here in the state to go to something like this, right? Because in order for our youth to learn, right, they have to have the proper nutrition, which is a whole nother debate as well too of what they're actually serving our kids, right? And I love food, but what they're serving in some of these schools right now, it needs to be healthier options, as well as more flavor as well too. I'm just saying.
Well, you can't put flavor in it if you want to be healthy.
You can have healthy flavor things. I've been learning about different things.
Or accent.
I've been learning about some different things, some vegan places as well too. It's pretty good. But it's super critical, especially in the time that we're in right now. That's where our money's going. So we will see what happens with that bill. We will be organizing and mobilizing around it, reaching out to representatives and senators to sign on to it and hopefully vote it out. And then, of course, the big obstacle is the governor, and seeing if we can get the governor to sign on to be supportive of this and either put this in his general operating budget so that we don't have to go through the JFC process, which is the Joint Finance Committee process. So it's going to be a very long fight, but it's one that so many people are fired up. A lot of high school BSUs are now signing up and sending letters. They've met with the representative and senator that represents their school over these past 6 months to talk to them about this. So it's going to be a very long fight, but a very good fight that I'm super excited for. Next, I want to talk about SB 7 is now law. This is it updates and expands the duties of the State Energy Office, which is located in the DENRAC office, which is the Delaware Natural Resources and Environmental Control Division. So again, this they're to develop and implement a state emergency plan and a state energy policy and programs, including affecting the build out of a statewide energy grid, collaborating with other agencies on data gathering and analyzing that, encouraging and promoting energy equity and energy planning and development, because usually what happens is the communities that had the least to do with the climate change and the negative climate impact are usually the ones who are on the front line of the disasters, right? So those are the communities like the Route 9 corridor, right? Where they allow all these plants, these corporations to come in, like Croda, who pollute the air, who pollute the water, and cause cancer in the air, cause all types of diseases. But yet these people had no say when this company came, and now keeps trying to expand their power and their outreach into the community as well too. It serves as the liaison as the federal with federal agencies and energy agencies in other states, conducting and analyzing and generating resource integration for planning and participating in offshore wind transmission. And then again, convening stakeholder meetings to implement and propose additional changes when it comes to our Delaware energy infrastructure here. So again, this is law. It does go into effect now. So there's going to be more information. I'm going to be following up with this and putting more information out about this as well too. Next, I want to talk about election 2024. It is 2024.
We're here.
And we are now 9 months away from primary, 11 months away from the November election. We will be electing a new governor, new lieutenant governor, new U.S. senator, new U.S. House representative, new mayor, new county exec, new county council president, a lot of positions in power, a new city council, a new general assembly. There are a lot of positions up, and throughout this year, we are going to try our best to make sure we're highlighting all of them. Since the last time I was on this show and we did an update, there's been 2 fallings since then. So one of them is sitting right across from me. Councilwoman Shané Darby filed for re-election in the 2nd Councilmatic District. And I think you filed on the 21st.
I filed, one of them days. Everything is together over the holidays. It was like, I want to do it for the end of the year, so.
Which is very exciting. I believe you're the first council person, or the first person in any of the council races to file for a race. So again, that is as more filings come in, right, we're going to be tracking them and tracking who's filing where. And then outside of that, there was a special election in which Valerie George was elected to RD 37, Republican from Georgetown area, was elected in the special election on December 21st. So she was sworn in the very next day, and she will be there for the start of session on Tuesday. Committees haven't been released, how they reorged their committee since Representative Ruth Briscoe has resigned. Some of those committees' assignments are probably going to change around, especially some of the more prestigious ones like JFC and the money committees.
Yeah, I got a couple questions for you. The state senators, how often do they run?
So they're on a 4-4-2 schedule. So everyone was up in 2022 because it was just redistricting.
Okay.
Then half of them are up this year, and then this year, and the other half will be up in 2026.
Now, what about the group that represents Wilmington?
Yes. So for this year, the ones who are up are Senator Darius Brown in the 2nd senatorial district and Senator Lockman in the 3rd senatorial district. And there's a very small portion of the city that is represented in the 4th senatorial district, which is Laura Sturgeon. But she's vastly Hocassin, Greenville, that area.
Okay. Now, what about the state reps? What are they on a cycle of?
Everyone's up every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Across the board, they are up.
Okay. So that means they're going to be running this year.
Yes.
Okay, I understand. I just need to make sure I have everything in order as I'm getting ready to start meeting with people, and I want to make sure that we appropriately represent people as we move forward. Coby, as always, we thank you because you bring us the political side and also the things that impact our lives as it relates to the different legislations and things of that nature. Same with you, my good sister, who certainly your heart for the community, your heart and your desire to bring justice to our political figures, as well as to bring justice for those who you represent, is very much appreciative. This is a new year. We're looking forward to God doing more in 24. That's my theme for this year. I'm hoping that you all will continue to enjoy our show. I want to make sure I remind you that our good friend, our brother, Reverend Dr. Twin B. Brown is currently in the hospital.
Yeah.
Let's keep him lifted in prayer, that God will keep him comfortable. Let's also let the Lord's will be done. We don't ever want anyone to believe that death is a punishment. It is not. It is a release. God chooses the day we're born and the day that we will be received back by him. So let's just keep him in prayer, keep his family in prayer, his friends and those who are close to him. That's our show for today. Is there anything else on your calendar, Brother Coby?
That's all I have.
Is there anything else on your
Nothing I have.
Well, since you cut me off, but look, it's been a great day. It's been a great show. Until next time we get together, see ya.
Take care, y'all.
Talk soon.